So we will continue our discussion on history. So far we have completed up to civil disobedience movement. We have talked about Nehru report, Simon Commission recommendations, and then we have discussed about Delhi proposals, the Hindu Mahasabha demands, and Gandhi's 11 demands, and then we have discussed about civil disobedience movement. So that's what we have discussed so far. So in this session, I will be talking about round table conferences. So we will discuss the 3 round table conferences. In fact, we are actually going to refer to this period now, 1931 to 37. So our discussion was like this. We started from 1757 to 1857. I have discussed as one phase, the first phase, and we have discussed everything under different governor generals. And then 1857 to 1885 we have done. 1857 to 85 up to Congress formation, and then 85 to 1905 we have done, right, up to partition of Bengal. Then 1905 to 1921 we have done. We have discussed about partition of Bengal, then Swadeshi movement, Surat split. 1904 Tilak was released from jail, and then we have discussed about World War I. We have talked about Home Rule League, we have talked about Khadar Party, we have talked about different phases of militant nationalism, we have talked about reunification of Congress, Lucknow Pact. Okay, we have talked about arrival of Gandhi in India, Champaran Satyagraha, Kheda Satyagraha, Ahmedabad mill strike. We have also discussed about Gandhian experiences in South Africa, the moderate phase of Gandhi, extremist phase of Gandhi, and the issues that Gandhi took up in South Africa and how it gave political maturity to Gandhi. All those things we have covered. And then we have also discussed about 1919 Government of India Act, and Congress boycotted election after 1919 Government of India Act because they are not satisfied with the devolution of power formula which was there in 1919 Government of India Act. Okay, because of diarchy, and through that there was a transferred list and a reserve list, and not much power was given to the elected Indians. Okay, and then we have discussed about Rowlatt Act, Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and Hundar Commission which was appointed to inquire into police excesses during Jallianwala Bagh incident. Okay, and then all these things have culminated into non-cooperation movement, and non-cooperation movement was called off in 1922 because of Chauri Chaura. And then in the next phase, 1921 to 1931, the most important phase that we have discussed so far. So here we have discussed about 1924, the debate between Swarajist and no changers. Then we have also discussed about militant nationalism of in North India and in Bengal. North India we have discussed about HRA, HSRA, it was regrouped into HSRA later, and under Bhagat Singh, all those issues we have covered. We have also discussed about the ideological rethinking in the militant nationalism, okay, during 1920s. What I've told you is it's not just about political freedom. You merely overthrowing of British will give you political freedom, and that's what Congress is also demanding. But you need also to achieve social freedom as well as economic freedom. For that you need economic equality. All kind of exploitation of man by man has to come to an end, and for that large scale land reforms and all are actually suggested by Bhagat Singh. So that thing we have discussed, and we have discussed about militant nationalism in Bengal. We talked about Chittagong Armory raid, Surya Sen, Kalpana Datta, all those details we have actually covered. Okay, and then we have talked about Simon Commission recommendations, and Simon Commission was actually rejected by Congress. Then British government actually asked Congress to come up with a devolution of power formula which is acceptable to all sections, that is Muslim League, Hindu Mahasabha, and also to princely state, and Congress accepted this challenge, and Congress appointed Motilal Nehru to prepare a plan. Okay, and they come up with Nehru report. We have discussed about Nehru report. During this time, Muslim League also thought that they can jointly negotiate to the British government along with Congress, and they are now ready to accept the Congress position on separate electorate if they satisfy or if they can accept certain conditions of Muslim League, and those conditions are what we have discussed under Delhi proposals. So what are the Delhi proposals? We have discussed 4 important points: that the Muslim League is now ready to accept Congress position on separate electorate if they satisfy certain condition. Congress position on separate electorate means Congress is not ready to go for separate electorate. Congress is always in favor of joint electorate with reservation for minorities. Okay, so Muslim League is now ready to accept that, but the Congress have to follow the conditions. The conditions are 1/3 reservation to be given to Muslims in the central provinces, and then Muslims must be given reservation even in Muslim majority area. That was the second condition. Third, there should be some creation of new provinces like Sindh should be separated from Bombay, NWFP should be separated from Punjab, and new provinces to be created. And the fourth condition was residuary power to be vested, to be given to the provinces. So these are four conditions by the Muslim League, which is the proposals by Jinnah, and this is what we have discussed under Delhi proposals. And after that, we have discussed about certain demands by Hindu Mahasabha, contrary to exactly opposite, the polar opposite of Muslim League proposals or Delhi proposals, that there should not be any creation of separate provinces of Sindh and NWFP. Then Hindus must be given reservation wherever Hindus are in minority, and then residuary power to be vested with center. Now after that, we have discussed about Nehru report. In that, the first point that we have discussed is about dominion status, like white colonies like Australia and New Zealand. Okay, and then we have talked about federal structure. Then we have discussed about secularism to be state policy, and then we have talked about the most important point, that the fundamental rights, 19 fundamental rights, including right to education from 6 to 14. All those things we have covered, and then 4 more points are related to Muslim League proposals, exactly opposite of Muslim League. That the first one, there will be a joint electorate with reservation for minorities. Then there won't be any creation of new provinces like Sindh or NWFP. Residuary power to be with the center. Muslim majority areas, Muslims won't be given reservation. So no reservation for Muslims in Muslim majority areas. So obviously, Muslim League was against it. So Muslim League is now going back to their position on separate electorate. So Nehru report is not acceptable to Muslim League. So British government rejected Nehru report by saying that it is not acceptable to all sections of the population. And during this time, Gandhi come up with certain demands. Gandhi's 11 demands we have discussed. Few of them were general in nature. We have discussed that already, like reduction of expenditure in army, then more press freedom, then restriction to be released on carrying of firearms, etc. Then certain issues of peasants were also taken into consideration, like decrease in land revenue and strengthening tenancy rights, etc. Then certain issues related to capitalist classes also discussed here, like coastal shipping must be reserved for Indians, and then imported textile goods should be charged more customs duty so that you can protect the Indian industries, like that. Okay, so all these demands, and we have also talked about salt tax. Gandhi took salt tax as an issue to launch civil disobedience movement. Gandhi could have taken any other issue like land revenue or anything, but why Gandhi took up salt tax to launch civil disobedience movement is because salt is an essential commodity, a basic commodity, which is going to affect every sections of the population. So there is no possibility of social division, that everybody is going to participate in this, right? If you would have launched civil disobedience movement on the basis of land revenue, maybe zamindars will go against you and zamindars may support the English. So Gandhi took up salt issue to launch CDM, and we have seen the CDM, okay, and that's where we have actually stopped. Okay, now here in this session we will be dealing with this new phase, 1931 to 37. Here we will be talking about roundtable conferences, and then we will discuss about a short debate between Ambedkar and Gandhi. And then we will talk about 1935 Government of India Act, and then we will discuss the election which was held after 1935 Government of India Act on the basis of that act, and we will also discuss about the 28 months of Congress rule, okay, and the major achievements and the criticisms also. So this is what we are going to discuss in this phase, and then 1937 to 1947, where we'll discuss about Cripps Mission, August Offer, okay, Wavell Plan, Cabinet Mission Plan, Mountbatten Plan, Rin Mutiny, INA trial, everything we'll cover. With that, we'll finish history. Maybe 3 more sessions, that's enough. We'll complete up to 1947, and then we'll start post-independence India. If you have any doubt in any of this discussion that we have done so far, you can get in touch with me here. This is my Instagram ID. You can join the Telegram channel to get all the videos. I've shared whatever possible video I could get from Study IQ. Okay, so I've shared all the videos over there, so you can watch the videos. So let's get started with the roundtable conferences. So roundtable conferences. The roundtable conference is basically mainly to discuss about Simon Commission recommendations and future devolution of power. Okay, so they have already given the structure, that they have already told that the basic structure will be like Simon Commission recommendation, and you can come and negotiate within that basic structure. So because of that, already Congress boycotted Simon Commission. So here also Congress boycotted the first roundtable conference. So most important point that you need to remember or keep in mind is that Congress did not participated in the first roundtable conference, because the reason is it is based on Simon Commission recommendation, and you don't have much scope to explore further scope of devolution of power. You can discuss about devolution of power upon the basic structure which is already given by Simon Commission. So Congress boycotted the first roundtable conference, and Congress is not actually participating in the first roundtable conference. And who all participated? Hindu Mahasabha participated, Muslim League participated, princely states participated, Ambedkar was also called for the first roundtable conference. Okay, so let me write down that important point. Why roundtable conference? Okay, so to discuss with Indian stakeholders about the Simon Commission recommendation and the issue related to further or future devolution of power. Okay, so the basic structure is actually by the Simon Commission, and you can give some suggestions only. So Congress boycotted. So Congress boycotted because it was based on Simon Commission recommendation only. You can only come and give some suggestions. Okay, now who all participated? Muslim League participated, Hindu Mahasabha participated, princely states participated, and Dr. Ambedkar also participated. Okay, now actually since Congress did not participate in this session, it was a major setback for British government, because it actually dented their claim that they are incorporating all sections of Indians in the discussion related to further devolution of power. So since Congress is the most important organization, the non-participation of Congress was actually dented this claim of British government. So in the second roundtable conference, they were very keen on bringing Congress to the roundtable conference. Okay, and they have started discussions related to that with Congress, and they started talking about second roundtable conferences to Gandhi, and finally Gandhi-Irwin talks started. And during this period, civil disobedience movement that we have discussed already, which was launched, has stopped temporarily when Gandhi-Irwin talk was going on. And finally, Gandhi-Irwin Pact was signed. Very important pact. 4 or 5 points are there. I'll discuss with you when we discuss in detail. Mainly, it's all about all the political prisoners who were arrested during civil disobedience movement to be released. That's the most important point. Then all the lands which were confiscated but not yet sold to the third parties for non-payment of taxes to be given back. Okay, and then the third one issue again related to salt tax, which is to be abolished. All these three conditions are actually accepted. And then commutation of death sentence to life imprisonment of Bhagat Singh, that was also a demand, but it was not accepted. And it was actually a criticism that Gandhi did not took up much effort to do this, firstly. But secondly, if you try to think objectively, Gandhi cannot go for too much of demands. Okay, it won't be accepted by British. Otherwise, even if Gandhi demands too much, or if Gandhi is pressurizing the British too much, then also British government, they are not going to accept it, because it is a challenge to the British Empire. What happened is they have thrown bomb to the Central Legislative Council. We have already discussed that issue. So it is a challenge to the British Empire, so they are not going to accept that. And then one of the other criticism is why there is a discussion, why this discussion is required. Gandhi-Irwin Pact or Gandhi-Irwin talk is required when Purna Swaraj is your demand. Okay, this is also one of the question. So these are related to Gandhi-Irwin Pact. So when we discuss about roundtable conference, second roundtable conference, we have to discuss about this. And then finally, in Karachi session of 1931, this Gandhi-Irwin Pact was endorsed and gave official go ahead for participation of Congress in the second roundtable conference. Okay, and where Gandhi participated in the second roundtable conference, in that Ambedkar actually demanded for separate electorate for the backward caste also, and it was granted through the communal award. And Gandhi and Congress seen this as a major setback, or this award of separate electorate to the Dalits or the backward caste or the Hindus, or the communal award was seen by Gandhi as it's a deliberate attempt by the British to divide Hindus among the caste lines. See, already I've told you the major identity in India is actually related to religion, region, and caste. A region, always the division is there, regionalism, linguism, all these are big problem in India. Apart from that, on the base of religion, already there is a division now because of Muslim League. That division is already done, and they have already granted separate electorate to Muslims. Now, if you are giving separate electorate to Dalits, that is going to further divide the Indian community within Hindus on caste lines. And Gandhi actually withdrew from second roundtable conference, and he went for a hunger strike. And later, Ambedkar, under severe pressure, he came to Gandhi and he signed the Puna Pact, under which the communal award was called off, and Gandhi Ambedkar decided that there will be a joint electorate with reservation for Dalits. Okay, so this is what all about the second roundtable conference, and this is the only roundtable conference where Congress participated. And then civil disobedience movement, I've told you already, during Gandhi-Irwin Pact it was temporarily stopped. Now it is going to be resumed, but the problem is, it was going on a full scale. But when there was a break, the momentum was lost, and the momentum and the vigor was lost. So even then it was relaunched. It did not have much impact. Okay, and then third roundtable conference, Congress did not participated, and on the basis of these three roundtable conferences, the Government of India Act 1935 was enacted. Okay, so we will be discussing about that also if time permits. So let me write down the important points here. Second roundtable conference, I'll just write in the bullet points, I won't be writing it completely. So second roundtable conference. Okay, so as I've told you, Lord Irwin was very keen on bringing Congress and Gandhi to the second roundtable conference because of the criticism that they faced in the first roundtable conference. Okay, so Gandhi-Irwin talks began, and it ended in Gandhi-Irwin Pact. See, the significance of Gandhi-Irwin Pact is this: for the first time, British the viceroy is actually signing a pact with the Indian. So it actually boosted the political mileage of Congress also. Okay, that's why it is very significant. Gandhi-Irwin Pact is very significant. For the first time, viceroy is signing an agreement with an Indian. So let's write down the points. The first point is all political prisoners imprisoned during civil disobedience movement must be released. Now, whether it is accepted or not, yes, it is accepted. Okay, second point, all lands confiscated and yet not sold to third parties due to non-payment of taxes must be returned back to the original owners. Whether it is accepted or not, it is also accepted. Okay, now the third point, Gandhi and Congress forced the British to remove salt tax, salt manufactured for self consumption. Okay, whether it is accepted or not, it is also accepted. So if you remember, when we discussed about the issue of salt tax, I have told you they have imposed salt tax on manufacturing of salt for personal consumption as well as for commercial purpose. So commercial purpose, it's accepted, but even if you are producing for self consumption, you are taxed, and that is not accepted. Gandhi called it as evil tax, because you are taxing the poorest of the poor people. Okay, so here they demanded that salt tax to be abolished if the salt is manufactured for self-consumption, and that is accepted. But that point has to be clear, not salt tax is abolished, salt tax abolished upon self-consumption. If you are producing for your own personal use, it is abolished, but if you are producing it for commercial purpose, that is not abolished. So see, whenever you are reading this kind of clarity is required. If simply they are asking salt tax is abolished, you cannot tell that. Okay, salt tax is still there, which is for the commercial purpose. So if you get statement like salt tax is abolished, that cannot be your answer. Okay, now next is Congress demanded for commutation of death sentence of Bhagat Singh to life imprisonment. Accepted or not? It is not accepted. Okay, so not accepted. And the last one, demand for inquiry into police excesses against CDM. Accepted or not? This is also not accepted. See, anything related to police excess, they are not much keen on that. If you remember, when we have discussed about Jallianwala Bagh massacre, I have told you Hundar Commission was appointed to inquire into the charges of police excess during Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and you have seen the outcome also. The Hundar Commission did not find any mistake from General Dyer side, who fired upon the peaceful protesters. Neither they find any use of excessive force. They all, even if the commission is appointed, they are definitely going to support the police only. So they are never entertaining this. Okay, they will never support this kind of demands. So if you see, all political prisoners imprisoned during CDM must be released. Yes, accepted. All lands confiscated and not yet sold to third parties must be returned to the owners. Yes, accepted. Gandhi and Congress forced British to remove salt tax for personal use. Accepted, but not for commercial use. Commutation of death sentence of Bhagat Singh, not accepted. Inquiry into police excesses, that is also not accepted. Okay, so criticism, I have already told you, Gandhi did not took up much effort to relate in the case of Bhagat Singh. The reason also I have told you, that Gandhi cannot force the British government too much. Even if Gandhi do that, British government is not going to accept that, because it's a challenge to the mighty British Empire. And then why this pact is in question now, when Purna Swaraj is our demand? That is also another criticism. Okay, and Gandhi-Irwin Pact was signed, and they have decided to participate in the second roundtable conference. So this is the first time a viceroy signing an agreement with Congress. Okay, so it actually increased the political prestige of Congress. Now in Karachi session 1931, endorsed Gandhi-Irwin Pact, and Karachi session is important for other two reasons also. The resolution on fundamental right, and National Economic Program was passed in 1931. National Economic Program 1931, resolution on fundamental right. Now what is this National Economic Program? This is related to land revenue must be decreased. Okay, secondly, wages of workers in industries must be increased. Okay, so so both related to peasants as well as the workers. National Economic Program, these 2 points, this is enough. If you can remember, this is what the minimum that you need to remember. One is related to the peasants, that the land revenue has to be decreased. One is related to the urban workers, that their wages to be increased. Okay, so that Karachi session actually gave the official go ahead for participation of Congress to the roundtable conference. And another reason why Karachi session is important is because in Karachi session, Congress actually adopted a resolution of praising the bravery and sacrifices of the Indian militant nationalists like Bhagat Singh, etc., even though Congress did not subscribe to their political ideology. So in this session, actually, this resolution was passed, which is praising the bravery and sacrifices of the Indian militant nationalists like Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Sukhdev, all those people. Okay, so in that context also this is important. So if you get a question, that statement can also be asked in prelims. Now, who all participated? So firstly, Congress participated, then Hindu Mahasabha was there, Muslim League was there, princely states was there. Okay, Congress side, it was actually Gandhi, okay, and then Ambedkar was there. Okay, now I've told you Ambedkar demanded separate electorate. Ambedkar demanded separate electorate for backward caste, means Dalits. Okay, so backward caste, and it was given through communal award. So Gandhi and Congress was against it. Gandhi went for hunger strike, and that led to Puna Pact. So that also they used to ask this as a question. Puna Pact. Puna Pact was between Ambedkar and Gandhi, and so under Puna Pact, actually Ambedkar accepted Gandhi's demand of joint electorate with reservation for backward caste, because Gandhi seen this as a deliberate attempt to divide Hindus among the caste lines. Okay, and we will see the debate between Ambedkar and Gandhi later in a separate session related to this Dalit issue. So that's about second roundtable conference. This Pune Pact is important, and then civil disobedience movement actually CDM resumed. So all these can be asked as prelims question. All these points has to be there. All these are related to second roundtable conference. Second roundtable conference is more important. Many events are there. Congress also participated. The only session, only roundtable congress in conference in which Congress participated is actually second roundtable conference. Okay, then we have the third roundtable conference. Third roundtable congress. Congress did not participated. Other sections like Muslim League, Hindu Mahasabha, princely states and Ambedkar participated. And based on all these three roundtable conferences, they came up with Government of India Act 1935. Okay. Now we will discuss about Government of India Act 1935. So what is the first provision? Actually, you will see the biggest devolution of power in 1935 Government of India Act, and at the provincial level you will see more devolution of power. Actually, autonomy was granted at the provincial level. So the first point is autonomy was granted at provincial level. See, if you remember, before diarchy was introduced in 1919 at the provincial level, through which there was two lists, reserve list and transferred list. Only upon transferred list the elected Indians and the ministers can make law. Reserved list, including law and order, budget, taxation, etc., is actually reserved for the governor, who was actually appointed by the viceroy. Okay, now here in this autonomy was granted at the provincial level. That means reserve list and transferred list has been done away. That means now that is no more there, and elected representative have got 40% power on budget, law and order, etc. for the first time. So more power is actually given to the elected representative, and that's why I told you this is by far the biggest devolution of power. So the first point, autonomy was granted at the provincial level. Secondly, the diarchy, which was introduced in 1919 at provincial level, was abolished. That is what you have seen, and diarchy will be introduced at the central level. Okay, so second point, at central level, diarchy introduced. Okay, so I've already discussed about you what is diarchy. Archy means rule, monarchy means rule of one, diarchy means rule of two. Here viceroy on one side and elected Indians on the other side, two are there. So elected Indians and they will form the ministries and they can make laws upon the transferred list, and like agriculture, education, all those items. And viceroy will be controlling law and order, budget, taxation, all these important areas. Okay, so here now there is a reserve list and transferred list. So here the ministers, elected Indians, here it is viceroy. Now if you remember, before in 1919 also it was same, transferred list, elected Indians at the provincial level, and reserve list, governor who was appointed by viceroy, here directly viceroy. The same thing, I'm not getting into too much of details here. And third point is again very important, federal structure. For the first time, federal structure. So some of the students always having confusion, federal structure is in 1919 because of diarchy. See, diarchy means rule of two at the same level. Rule of two at the same level, that means governor and the ministers. So two subjects are there. So rule of two at the same level, that is diarchy. Rule of two at different levels is what federal structure. Okay, so here federal structure was introduced for the first time. So three lists, right? Central list, state list, and concurrent list. You already know this. Okay, now then next point, princely states are allowed to preserve their identity. We have in fact discussed about Butler Committee, which was appointed to inquire into the demands of princely states related to preservation of their identity. That I'm not getting into that. If you need, you can go back to the previous video and you can refer to Butler Committee, or you can just refer that. Okay, so princely states would be allowed to preserve their autonomy. Okay, so Butler Committee, you can refer to this, which was appointed in 1927 to look into the viewpoints of princely states upon their demand, and they have recommended that to preserve their autonomy under British rule. Okay, so these are the main points. And then a bicameral legislature at the central level, that means House of People and Council of States. Okay, lower house and upper house. See, already you can see this 1935, 1919, 1909 in a single video. I've done this discussion, so that's the reason why I'm not getting into the details of it. But just because I've discussed about roundtable conferences, I've covered this. So 3 points which are more important. Autonomy was granted at the provincial level. More devolution of power, biggest devolution of power so far is what you can see here. Diarchy was introduced at the central level. Federal structure, princely states would be allowed to preserve their autonomy. Butler Committee, this question was actually asked in 2018 prelims. And bicameral legislature at the central level. So I hope this is clear for all of you.